I just wanted to go through some of the information that I would like you to have for your blood notes. So let's see if we have some of the same stuff. So blood is a connective tissue. So for first semester people, this is not going to be something new. So it's made up of cells, and then it has some kind of matrix. And in this case, the cells are like red blood cells, white blood cells, and the matrix in this particular case is liquid, and it's the only liquid, well, you could say lymph is probably connective tissue as well. So the different kinds of cells are red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. I realize my white blood cell is probably not the best drawing ever. And so you can see on the image on the right that is a light microscope image of blood, and you can see the little dots are the platelets, and the sort of light pink are the red blood cells, and the dark purple are the white blood cells, and there's way more red cells than white cells. So talking about the matrix is the plasma, because that's the liquid part. Okay, so it's nothing more than that. 92% of that is water. 7% are specific proteins to have specific jobs. And then the last percent is dissolved things like nutrients and hormones and oxygen, carbon dioxide. Just all of those things are dissolved in the matrix of blood, which is the plasma. And that image is just showing you that in addition to donating blood, people can donate just the plasma. So let's take a look at the proteins. You don't have to know the names of all of these at all. However, the notes or the proteins you may have looked at are summarized here. So albumin, which is the big one, and that I'm having a hard time seeing it. So the three that are mentioned are these the big three. So it's these two, and I can't read what the other ones say at the moment. So, and it makes sense that some of them would carry fat-based materials through the blood, because the blood is mostly water, and fats don't dissolve in water, so they need the proteins to help them do that. Water balance, you may have seen the term osmotic pressure in your reading. You're not responsible for knowing that term. It's just making sure the water in your body is in the right place. And why does that matter? Because the amount of blood you have is going to directly influence your blood pressure, although other things influence blood pressure as well. And we'll get into those when we talk about the blood vessels themselves. So here's the albumin, here's the globulins, and the fibrinogen. Again, I can't read. And that has to do with the blood clotting, fibrin, fibers, that kind of thing. So here's a little video for you to watch about blood clotting.
Even under physiological conditions, a small tear can appear in the wall of a blood vessel. In order to prevent blood loss, platelets and coagulation factors, such as the pivotal factor 10, acting in a coordinated manner, close this wound. The platelets are responsible for a first sealing of the tear. Then, a number of coagulation factors are activated, leading to the formation of fibrin strands which stabilize the growing clot.
Okay, so now we're going to take a few minutes and just go over the functions of blood. So the biggest one, and the one that everybody knows, is transportation. CO2, O2, nutrients, hormones. That image out to the right is how the difference between oxygen and carbon dioxide transportation, and we don't have time to go through it, but it's pretty cool stuff. Then the fence with the white blood cells, and they can defend you against foreign things that have come into your body, but they can also work with things that come into your body, or that arise in your body like cancer cells. However, the problem with those is that sometimes they attack healthy cells, so that would be part of any number of autoimmune diseases when your white blood cells start attacking the wrong things. So there can be trouble with those as well. I just thought this video was kind of cool because it just gives you a really nice animation for one thing, and then the actual images of the bacteria interacting with the white blood cells is kind of cool too. And so you can see just how hard your cells work to keep you healthy every day. All right, so the third function then, oh, right, so the backfiring with the autoimmune diseases, right? The third function is maintaining homeostasis. And in fact, your blood actually does many, many things to help maintain homeostasis in your body. However, one of the major ones is regulating heat. So most of your heat is produced by your muscles, by your brain, by your liver, and your heart. So the job of the blood is to move that heat around to every other part of your body. So there are two negative feedback loops over there. You do not need to know those, but I just, for those interested, I thought it was kind of cool. Okay, so I drew the diagram of the hematocrit there. You're not responsible for knowing that, but so the other thing I wanted to talk about was hematopoiesis, which first semester people will remember is the production of blood, and that mostly takes place in the bone marrow. Hematopoiesis, hemato refers to blood, and poiesis actually means to make, and originally it was used in reference to writing poetry. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. So hematopoiesis. Now to wrap this up, I want to talk about a few characteristics of the blood that are really important. Okay, so blood, when we draw it, we usually say it's red and blue. But in fact, it's really bright red, and you can see from that image, and maroon. It only looks blue because it mixes with the pigments in your skin to make it look that way. Anyway, it's more viscous than water. It doesn't flow as easily. It's sticky, and if any of you have ever bled in any amount, you'll know that that's true. The pH range is very narrow, between 7.35 and 7.45, and your blood is actually slightly warmer than your body temperature. Another critical thing about blood in terms of form fits the function is the biconcave shape of red blood cells. It maximizes the surface area of that volume so it can allow for the diffusion of oxygen into and out of that cell really fast. It also gives the red blood cells some flexibility because when they move through blood vessels, they're going to like fold and bend and all that kind of stuff. So, and it's that shape that gives them that option. And we'll end today with just a couple other little factoids about blood. So there's a pie chart showing you the distribution of different blood types in the US, and then a comparison of the amount of blood in an adult to the blood in a newborn. So I hope you learned a lot of stuff, and thanks for watching.